you may have heard there was an election, and I've been hungover for like 3 days, maybe four.
Well, I ate an entire casserole dish of Rice Krispie treats. 2020 anxiety eating is real, Sarah.
Oh, it really is. My favorite tree, my favorite one, lost all of its leaves over the last week. All the leaves. 'Tis the season
Yep, it's barely November and I'm already freezing my tits off.
of such a good day. Hello, world, and welcome to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do just that.
Get ready to laugh, to cry, to scream.
And unpack the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment.
Absurdity, humor, irony,
Yeah.
whatever you want to
What
call
else
it.
are we all here?
Because life's a bitch.
Oh, man.
And you kind of just have to laugh it out.
Yeah.
What's good, Sarah?
Well, I mean, it's been a week.
Remember Bodega Queen? What's good, Bodega Queen? Good old days.
Heather, I don't even know. Like, I don't even really know, like, how to feel right now because life is
Yeah.
weird. Life is going well.
It was a
Kind
shit
of.
heap, and now it's not as much of a shit heap. But I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it will be more of a shit heap.
But there's a lot of shit heaps still to
Oh,
be
yeah,
had.
for sure.
And yeah, I mean, I really, I don't want to seem like a crazy person right now. And everyone who's listening to the show, at the time of recording, we got a new president in the U.S. And so there's that whole thing, and there's lots of people celebrating, and some people not. And I assume it will kind of like chill out by the time that you hear this. Hard to say though.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I have had very little sleep, but it has been a big ass week.
Yeah, it really has been. Yeah, and it's funny, a lot of my friends, they're either celebrating or they're like, I'm kind of numb. I don't really I'm happy or I'm insert emotion there, but I don't feel like celebrating. I feel almost
Yeah,
depressed,
yeah.
I don't know what it is because I feel like happiness and depression at the same time. And it's like, I think people are, it's just weird. It's like we have a long road ahead and this is only the beginning.
That's really interesting because, yesterday, so last night, I I live alone, so I'm not talking to anybody, everyone I talk to is online, always. So last night it was like, maybe 9 p.m. or something, and I was like, I gotta just call this and go to bed. I can't do this anymore. When I woke up this morning, the race was called for Joe Biden, and I cried. I just sort of sat there and cried. And it wasn't even so much that I was so thrilled at our future.
Mm-hmm.
I was just so thrilled it was over,
Yes.
and
It was kind of cathartic.
yeah, and I went on a jog and, took my dog out to the park and, did all those stuff. But it's funny. I was like, I mean, the crying was like, when you're crying and tears are just coming out of your face,
Yeah.
but you're not even crying really. You're just oh, this is happening.
It's just like water's coming out of your
It's just,
eyes.
yeah, exactly. I'm just doing this. It's like some sort of a,
It's like a tension release or something.
it is. And that was, that was me this morning. And kind of to the point where I was like, Sarah, you okay?
Like, are you okay?
Yeah. Cause it was just so much water out of the face. But,
Was it coming out of your nose too?
no, I wasn't even crying. I was literally just sitting there, but so many tears and just sort of
It's been a really big buildup.
yeah, it was a release
know?
for sure. But I kind of thought I mean, I know that I'm a little obsessive. I'm a little weird. I'm I'm a little lots of things. But when I'm sort of uncontrollably crying, I'm like,
You're like, are you
yeah,
okay? Let
are
me
we okay?
take my temperature?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, someone take my temperature. Like, do I have COVID? Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here.
That's the thing is I actually got the flu shot recently, and for 2 or 3 days I had forgotten I got the flu shot, and I had like symptoms. I had like swollen glands out of the blue and like a headache, and I was feeling emotional, and I think I was like having some crying spells, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? And I'm like, oh, the flu shot. And I like looked it up, and it was like those symptoms. I mean, you can get emotional when you have the flu. Like it can affect your brain.
Of course. Yeah, you're sick.
Yeah. So that was weird on top of everything. I mean, I am still sort of, I mean, I guess we have to go through this. I mean, this is, you look back at human history, and there's always these years that are so fundamentally awful, and that spawn like change, or that have to, like, you have to shake things up for it to level out and get better and evolve, you know? And
Sure.
so I guess we had to go through it, and I'm glad that we're maybe toward the end of it. But then again, we've talked about this, like when the clock ticks 2021, it's not like everything's going to be like solved and like good again, you know? I mean, we're probably going to be wearing masks all of 2021 is my guess.
Girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
A very funny thing that happened on Thursday, I had, because I talked to Amazon's assistant, won't say her name, don't want to wake up anybody's assistant, but you know who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. On Thursday, I was like, wake me up for tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. just in case for some reason I like sleep till 8. I need to get up and do some stuff. Never happened. I mean, I got up before that time because sleeping till 8 a.m. is like a luxury I cannot afford to have. But I was like, that's weird. Yeah, that never happened. Pretty sure I did it right. You know what happened? It came on today. And I was like, I for sure did not tell her to set an alarm for 8 a.m. on
What a
Saturday.
dummy.
Again, I was still awake already.
What's the alarm sound like?
It goes like, burp, burp,
Good
burp,
morning.
burp, burp,
Okay,
burp.
so it's not like a voice saying good morning.
It's just it's actually kind of nice.
Oh, okay.
But it has to happen, like, it has to be done correctly.
Well, you're lucky it was an 8 a.m. and not like 5. Could you imagine if you accidentally set the alarm for 5 a.m.? You know, I have to ask you, I have to put you on the spot.
Right.
I've been wanting to ask you this. So do you keep your Amazon assistant on all the time, where it's just like the lights going around and you just have it on?
Oh, well, I mean, so it is connected to 4 Sonos speakers and 6 Hue lights.
Okay, so yeah, you definitely keep it on.
They're on.
Do you worry at all about being listened to
No.
from one of those?
I don't.
No?
I don't. And I know some people do. I do.
Yeah.
I get it. You know,
Some people are really
I'm just sort of
aggressive
like,
about
you know,
it.
and people are like, they're going to listen, they're going to know what you're saying. And I'm like, what am I saying? I'm asking the weather like
Well, and also
11
it's like-
times a day. And, you know,
Or what about when you're crying and like, are they listening to you while you have a moment?
I don't know. Like, there are weird things that I just don't care if the world knows about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if I'm crying, like, I'm like, I'll tell you about it. And if
Sure.
you can hear me, like, that's somewhat weird, but like, whatever. I don't really care about that stuff.
Yeah.
I know some people do a lot. And in fact, some folks that use, you know, not just Amazon's assistant, but Google's assistant, and there are others as well. Like, oh yeah, you got to like go in, you know, once a week and make sure that you delete all of the things that you said. And I'm like, what did you say? I'm just turning my lights on and off, man.
Yeah. I mean, I turn it off when I'm not using it because I may be more middle of the road on it. But like weird stuff happens where, like the other day, we were talking about turmeric, and like my sister picked up her phone and it was like an ad for turmeric, and you know, stuff like that kind of happens where you're like, what? Okay, it's a coincidence, but it happens a lot more these days. I mean, our computers and our technology is getting a lot more intelligent, Sarah. That's all I'm saying.
It is. It is. And there are definitely, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I understand, you know, what's really going on behind the scenes, but there are definitely times that people are like, I was speaking to somebody about a particular subject. I have never once, looked this up
Yeah.
on the internet, nothing. And all of a sudden I got an ad for it. That is not coincidental. I don't know.
Yeah.
I also don't care.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, not being, well, you have a little bit more of a public personality, and I get that. Some people, I guess, are just, paranoid. It's funny. I think that, you and I, among our many similarities, one of those things is we both know how to go rogue. I think it's like in our bones. And what I mean by that, it's going against the grain, swimming upstream, taking the unconventional path.
Being a salmon.
Being a salmon. Yeah, I mean, seriously, I feel like I was sort of born that way, just kind of, I don't know. I don't know how you want to really describe it, because I pride myself being that way. I do. I just want to preface things with that because, don't get me wrong, I like that I am not just a basic bitch, I guess you would call it.
And I would agree. You are definitely not.
Thank you. But there's times when I sometimes wish I were. And I know that sounds crazy, but taking the unconventional path, I feel is hard sometimes. And, kind of having that like blind naivete when you're in your 20s and 30s and, when you're young and you just don't analyze things to death and you're kind of like happy-go-lucky without feeling affected by who you are as a person. You're just going with who you are because it's like a blind, yeah, I'm just me and this is what I'm doing. Well, when you get older and you start really understanding yourself and you realize, wow, yeah, it's kind of easier to go with society and easier to go with what other people are doing because then you don't feel this kind of, I don't know, social pressure, maybe even FOMO on some level. And I don't know, I've sort of been thinking about that a lot lately, how different it feels being older and not feeling that kind of ignorance is bliss sort of thing and feeling like I'm understanding things so much more now. And it like almost brings more weight on my shoulders,
Yeah. I mean, it's it's so funny when many of us were kids, not necessarily everybody, but you always had the parents being like, once you get to our age, you'll get it.
Yeah, you'll see.
You'll know.
Once you have kids, you'll understand.
Yeah. And, like as a kid, you're like, ugh, God, I hate you. Like I'm just going to keep like tanning outside and, not care
and putting
about
like lemon juice in my hair to blow
right,
or like
yeah,
peroxide or something.
all the things like just like shut up, old people. But you do get to that point where you're like, it's not even necessarily like, oh, that's right or wrong. It's just, oh, I'm there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's really a blessing in the sense that you can get to know yourself that well. And again, I embrace it, but it's also can be really challenging because, you see all your other friends living these conventional lives, and not that all of my friends live conventional lives. I'm not pointing any fingers, but it just seems like the easier way to go because there's no questions asked. It's like, whoa, why doesn't she have kids? Why hasn't she gotten married? Why hasn't she had a wedding? Why is it, it's all these things and all these milestones that you don't do because you're rogue. I don't know. Anyway,
it's funny. One of my aunts, I have many aunts. One of my aunts married somebody who had been married previously. Mm-hmm. And so he had kids and they decided not to have kids. Mm-hmm. But I was young enough at the point that happened where it was like, for years it was like, why aren't they getting they're not going to have kids, and everyone was like, well, Sarah, not everybody has kids, because I was so conditioned to learn that that's just what you do. Like, are you happy? Then you have kids.
Yeah.
I don't have kids. Mm-hmm. And I grapple with that as well, to this day. The idea of just like being happy, doing what's right for me, and that might not be part of the equation.
And it might not be somebody else's you know, it might not be good for someone else, but that doesn't mean it's not good. It's not good for you. And I think that's the hard distinction. It's like you see so many people taking the conventional path and you think, well, what's wrong with me? You know,
Yeah.
and instead
Yeah.
of thinking that, you should think, well, you're taking your own path, and everyone's happinesses are different. You can't really compare. But no, the thing is, no matter what you decide in your life, you have to grapple with something. You know, you're not going to be, you know, it's like that ghost ship thing. It's like you choose a path, you miss out on the other path. But
Yeah.
you choose the other path, then you miss out on the other path. So it's like no matter what you do, you're going to be mourning something. You're going to miss out on something.
And listen, you know, shout out to everybody who has kids out there. You know,
Yeah,
certainly,
oh, for
certainly
sure.
not trying to drag anybody, but I have, you know, very good friends who have you know, a child, maybe multiple children, and so much strife about their life is related to that. And I just
Yeah.
kind of go like, well, okay. I mean, my life is like pretty hard. You know, I do my best.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know where I would have room for
Yeah.
any of that stuff, you know? And we've talked about this on the show
Yeah.
before, in detail. But yeah, it is such a weird year.
It is. And
Such
I
a
think,
weird year.
I think, yeah, it's like not even just weird, like on the surface, on the news, in the world, but like thoughts coming in my head and just like, yeah, everyone I think is going through a transformation in a lot of ways on so many levels. Anyway, but we're here to make you laugh. So
We are.
do you think what I just talked about was funny? Because feel free, just, you know, laugh it up.
Yeah, funny times.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
I have to say, Heather, TikTok is
Uh-huh.
my jam.
I've heard this.
I don't know how much you've been, you know, watching TikTok stuff or whatever. And
really
it's funny
don't.
because so it's, you know, not unlike following someone on Instagram, but TikTok in specifically is sort of like its own thing, like lots of dancing and, you know, kind of like ha memes and, you know, that sort of thing. But I've been going through who I follow on TikTok versus who, you know, another person who is also enthusiastic follows on TikTok. Very different experiences. Very different. And, you know, it's because like I follow like gymnastics people and sign language people. I don't do ASL at all, but like I just really like it, you know, like
Yeah.
makes me feel good about myself, you know, and of course like animal stuff and, you know, that sort of thing. But like I will send something to a friend who I know is also enthusiastic about TikTok, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, best thing ever!" And they'll send something to me. For example, this morning, woke up this morning, and my friend Frank Barbieri, shout out to you, was like, "Oh, there's this like cool owl. Are you following the owl on TikTok?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And he's like, "Oh, let me show you this."
Okay, well, you
know?
got to send this to me because I'm intrigued.
Oh my God, such a cute owl. His name is Gideon.
Ah.
Yeah, and
Brings you joy.
it brings me joy. And it's also like TikTok is, you know, depending on who you are, a little problematic, right? You know, some people think it's Chinese company. It's, you know, they don't have our best interests in mind, blah, blah, blah. Taking all of that away, the people that are creators on that network are so good. And I literally like sometimes I'm like, do I have an hour to kill? Do I have an hour? You know, like, all right, let's go into TikTok. And I mean, that is like my favorite hour of the day.
So you never record anything, like you don't have anything that you are posting.
I don't put anything out there. No, I am literally just consuming content.
I think I'm missing out. I might need to set up an account. I know I'm totally late to the party, but
And again, like, I like things that you might not like.
yeah,
But-
maybe so.
But it's a very strange thing.
Well, it's interesting too that it's a platform that, because you know we have all these platforms, and before TikTok we had a bunch of platforms that maybe weren't exactly like TikTok, but It's just amazing to me that like another one can pop up and be something different and so novel.
Oh, for sure.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly. Like, a few years ago, we were like, what's going to be the Facebook alternative? Well,
Yeah, and there was
Facebook's still
Vine,
around,
but-
but
Yeah.
there are other networks that pop up out of nowhere where it's like there's a lot of dancing,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of like fun meme stuff,
Mm-hmm.
where you're like, that wouldn't really have worked on the other network. And, and bless y'all.
It's like being at the right place at the right time. I mean, TikTok, I think the popularity has gone through the roof this year, and it's partially because of the pandemic, I would guess.
Well, I'm going to send you some owl videos.
Yeah, can you please? I'm a huge owl fan, and if you find anything cute with foxes, I would really appreciate it.
Foxes. Oh, yeah. Oh, I got fox
love
stuff
me
on
some
TikTok.
fox. Really?
Oh, my. Oh,
okay, I'm
gosh.
missing out. So do I have to have an
Yeah.
account to receive your? No, I don't need an account. I've gotten
No,
TikTok
I mean, I could
videos
send
from
you.
friends.
I could send you a link, but
I'll just start. I can start an account.
I have an account. I think I'd like posted like one thing once, but all I do is just click the for you button, and it kind of it's algorithmic,
Of course.
right? Like it knows what I want to see.
I'm into this. I'm actually gonna make an account, and I'm gonna look at some stuff, and maybe we'll compare notes and see. I want to see what I'll be interested in
Let's
watching.
do that.
The thing is when you were saying like if you have a free hour, you like immediately go to TikTok. Well, lately, and this is kind of a new thing for me, I have actually been shirking my Words with Friends games for it. And I'm such a nerd. I love word games. Do you ever play that Spelling Bee? It's on like the New York Times crosswords.
Never.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's like a jumble of letters, and there's like a middle letter, and it's sort of like a honeycomb shape. And so you have to use the middle letter, and you have to create words.
Okay.
And you can create panagrams. Like the ultimate goal.
What's a panagram?
It's when it uses all the letters in like a group of
I
letters,
see.
basically.
Okay.
And there's
Yeah.
several of the, sometimes there's an anagram and then a
Scrabble thing.
panagram.
Yeah.
And like one of the times I did it, it was like I was deemed like a genius because I got like 100 words or something. Anyway, it's fun. It's a total nerdy thing, but I love it. Speaking of words, actually, that's a really good segue. Back in the day, old Have Such a Good Day 1.0, we used to do some word games. Remember those days? I think they were like drinking games or something.
Heather, I know. I mean, it's everything feels like 7 years ago to
No
me at
kidding.
this point. But yes, I do remember this.
Well, so I love words like the next guy, maybe even more than movies. But I love finding out what new kind of slang terms entered the dictionary. And I think I've discussed this before, but this was a different year. So 2020, some new ones that just entered the dictionary are ish.
Ish. Yeah. Instead of shit.
No, ish, as in I am cold-ish. Like I'm kinda ish.
Oh, different kind of ish.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
Goat.
Oh, totally.
Which is
Yeah.
greatest of all time. Most people know what that acronym is. Am I right? You have that agreement at the end of an observation. Am I right? So that's actually officially in the dictionary. Gender reveal,
Okay.
which doesn't surprise me. Janky,
Yeah.
which it's funny because I've used that word for a long time. I feel like I use it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm surprised it wasn't in there before.
You know what I didn't know though? Janky doesn't mean just bad quality. It also means you can actually call someone janky if they're like untrustworthy, which I thought was really interesting.
because they're bad quality.
Yeah, that janky dude. And then I thought this is like, have you
You're a
ever
janky person.
Have you ever used the word hodophobia in a sentence?
Never.
Why don't you try? Like, what do you think it means?
Hodo.
Hodo, Hodo, phobia.
Hodo phobia.
I don't think you're ever gonna guess, but you could try.
Yeah.
It's a fear of something. Well, obviously.
Because it sounds like photo. I'm thinking of like camera stuff. I know that's not right. Just tell me.
That's actually not a bad guess, like fear of getting your photograph taken. No, it's fear of traveling. So like if you and it's kind of induced by the pandemic. And then one of my favorite words is zhuzh. Zhuzh. Zhuzhing, which is ZHUZH, not JUJ. Anyway, when you like spice up your living room with some throw pillars or something like that.
Yeah. Get a little judge.
I'm getting to my point here. So it made me sort of think about what was the most popular slang word in, say, 2020 or the year that we were born or whatever. And so I went down this rabbit hole. So first of all, I want to ask you, do you have a favorite slang word?
You're asking me.
Yeah.
I mean, man, it's funny. I was just, because I've been talking to a bunch of people about the election and just, we've been, we're internet
Yeah.
friends. So lots of typing, not necessarily talking. And there are funny things that I will say to a certain person because I know they'll get it. But I wouldn't necessarily say
Sure.
it to you because you might be
Yeah.
like, what's that mean? Or anybody. So, favorite slang word. I
I mean, you could
mean,
think about it for a minute. So I'm going to go through a few of like the most popular slang words. So like there's a slang word that is associated with a year. And I think that they're kind of interesting. So for example, your birth year is 1976.
correct.
Your slang, do you want to guess what the slang word was from your birth year?
I mean, I don't know. Something song associated. I have no idea.
Tude, like attitude.
Oh, Tude.
I
Tude is
know.
good.
I thought that was pretty
like
good.
Tude.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
all
apostrophe
right.
tude.
76.
But I thought
love
it was funny.
tudes.
I love the like 1947. The word of the year was party pooper, and I'm like, what? Like,
Wow.
wait, please explain this. Like, how did that come to be?
In
Was there just a lot of-
1947?
Yeah, a lot of party poopers that year, I guess.
Yeah, people are like, you didn't come. Yeah, party
But like,
pooper.
why that year? Why not the year before? Was it? I don't know. Anyway, I didn't go into too much research, but in 1953, I was pretty blown away by this. Apparently, the slang word from that year was frenemy, and I thought, it's that old? Because I thought frenemy would be maybe more like modern.
Oh yeah, I thought that was something like we all made up.
Me
like,
too.
10 years ago.
I know. And so I'm going to
Did not
rattle
know
through.
that.
Yeah, totally fun little fact, but I'm going to rattle through a few more years. So in 1977, the word was brewski.
What is brewski?
It's like a beer.
Oh,
Give me a
okay.
brewski.
Oh, okay.
And then
Yes. Yeah, okay.
1979 is deaf, like definitely, short for definitely.
Oh, deaf. Yeah, most deaf.
1981 was cred, like street cred. 1985, I really do not like this. I've never liked this expression.
Okay.
Cool beans. I don't know why. I just don't like it. Cool beans.
Why?
I don't know. Like when I say it, I feel nerdy. I'm just like, cool beans,
Well, why
man.
you
It's like
say
saying
it?
it's like
You don't
saying
have to say
zowie
it.
or zoinks or something.
I love how you're like, I don't like it because I don't like saying it.
I
And
just
you're
feel
like,
so like
I'm like,
corny when I say
you
it,
don't-
I guess.
You just don't have to, though.
I won't say
Cool-
it.
cool
I'm not going to say it
beans.
ever again.
I don't. I'm sure I've said this.
Yeah.
I get it. I think it's like, gosh, I'm trying to think of like something that would be like sort of similar. There are certain things I sometimes say where I'm like cool beans to me is like coolio.
Yeah, that's way better. It's way cooler.
Same thing.
Sure.
And both
I'd rather
of those
say
things are
coolio.
just like made up words.
Yeah.
Or made up terms.
Yeah, it's a strange one. 88 emo, 91 bestie, which I was like, oh, I thought bestie might be a little older too. But anyway, Popo 94, Chillax 2000. Oh, I'm sorry, Chillax is 99 and Crunk is 2000. I know.
What? All of these things are like way ahead of us.
I know. Twerking 2001. Was that really when twerking became a thing? I thought it was like way later than that.
2001?
Yeah.
Maybe
That's when it like started, but it didn't really get around until later.
I
'Cause
mean,
would
I
guess
feel like twerking is like 2015.
15. I totally agree.
Yeah. Hard to say.
And then selfies 2002, which I'm like, really? I guess. I don't know. Retweet is 2007. Inspo is 2012. Manspreading is 2014. FOMO's 2016,
should've
which
been
makes
way
sense.
earlier.
I know. FOMO makes sense, 2016, and hangry, 2018. Do you want to take a guess at what the 2020 word is?
Oh man.
It's not what I thought. I kind of I'm a little surprised by this because I've never used it in a sentence.
I mean, I would take the worst guesses. Just tell us.
Okay. Thirsty in
Oh.
terms of fishing for compliments via social
What?
media. Kind of
No!
like, that girl is
We've been
thirsty.
doing this for 10 years, people.
I know. I don't get it. I'm like,
That
why?
is not.
You know,
so,
maybe.
So the whole kind of like being entered into the lexicon
Yeah.
is a little different than, where some people are like, we've been talking about this on Instagram. For
I wonder if
5
it's like
years.
it became a word, but then it like, and I don't know if any of these all these words are in the dictionary. These were just like the word that sort of described that year in slang. Like it was the word that kind of came up a lot that year. It was popular. But
Yeah.
thirsty, I don't really hear anybody using that as in a sentence. Like maybe because people are hungry and thirsty to get attention right now because of the pandemic. And so they're trying to get attention on social media because they're bored or they're lonely or whatever. I mean, I think it has something to do with that, but I've just never really heard that term. Anyway, just like a little, I just thought I'd teach you guys some fun slang over the years. So I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah. What's my favorite one from all of the things that you mentioned? I mean, gotta love the selfie.
Yeah.
Like that is something that it's funny that something like that is like, if you say that, people are like, oh, I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's not cutesy, it's not funny, but it was at one point. It was like, what? What do you mean?
It was kind of novel.
Oh, it means like that you're, pointing the phone at
Yeah.
yourself and taking like a photo of yourself. And it's funny how quickly in the sense of, several years, these things turn from something, that's like, oh, what the kiddies say, to like, oh no, that's how we just describe technology.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, it becomes second nature. It's not novel really anymore. It's interesting, especially the word man spreading. I mean, come on.
Spreading.
I love
Which
that though.
I understand it. I'm looking at the New York subway right now, where I'm imagining it, and being like, yeah, you're taking up some space, man.
It's great. I think I used
Yeah,
it in a
man
sentence
spreader.
the other day.
Oh boy. Well, let's take a moment to thank our patrons, everybody who is helping us on patreon.com/have such a good day. We are so grateful, and we got more than ever. It grows.
It
The community
grows by the day.
It does. It does. And we are so grateful. I mean, can't really think of any other way to say it, but
There's really no words.
no words. Yeah. Maybe we'll get in the dictionary in a couple of years, but for
Yes.
now we have no words. But again, if you are listening to the show and you would like to be a direct supporter, because you can definitely listen to the show for free, but if you are a patron,
You get special perks.
special perks, yeah, ad-free show, lots of other stuff. We got a fun Discord community where we're all talking about our lives, and you guys are all the best on the Discord, and yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, they're the best. And we, as of late, I would say this last week, the big subject matter in Discord has been, well, spiders is kind of ongoing, wouldn't you say, Sarah? Me and Tina are always kind of going back and forth about like who has the bigger spider fear. And then we were talking extensively about just like movie making and creative collaboration and like who's your favorite James Bond, because of Sean Connery.
Right.
But Tim S. said in the midst of all that, he said his favorite quote is, "Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That is why it is called the present." Kung Fu Master Oogway said that, apparently. I like that. Yeah. I mean, I've heard something like that before.
I like it too. Yeah. It's our present and also a present.
Exactly. And you know what? That's why you can't mourn about the past, because it's gone. It could have just not happened. So you might as well move on, live well in the moment.
We also got an email from Ellen M., who wrote in and said, "Hey ladies, glad you're back." Thank you, Ellen. Good to have you. He also said, "Thanks, Sarah, for no F-bombs." Where I'm like, Ellen, I think I do drop an F-bomb here and there, but
You guys tell us.
I appreciate the fact that there are some of you, Ellen, you're not the only one, who have said, Sarah, you don't always have to swear.
It's like those ticks. It's like the likes and the ums. It just comes out and you don't even
Talk
realize
like a
it.
sailor. Yeah, exactly. But I love a show where I can do it and it won't get me in trouble because there are other shows where I cannot.
This
So,
is true.
There you go.
Well, Shahabuddin wanted to wish you a happy belated birthday, Sarah, with 3 little cake emojis and lots of
Oh,
exclamation
Shahabuddin,
points.
thank you so much. Yeah. It's, I was going to say, it's Heather Frank's birthday coming up pretty
Oh
soon.
God, don't remind me, please.
In December.
Oh, I'm like, do I buy
Woo-hoo.
a ticket to Hawaii? I need to
Yeah.
do something.
Y'all know that I'm not a birthday person.
No, yeah, you're not. Oh, I know that.
Not for myself personally, but
Yeah.
I want everyone to have the best birthday ever.
Yeah, of
And
course.
Whatever that might mean. Like, do you want a
Yeah.
cake? Do you want, a scarf? Do you want dinner?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want?
Totally.
I will do that for you.
Sure.
And unfortunately, Heather and I are just not in the same physical area right now, so I don't know how I would get you dinner.
How about a belated something?
Well, of course. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, it's funny. I kind of get a little, I hope I won't get gloomy this year, but I do get a little anxious before my birthday. I don't really need to turn another year older. I mean, let's be honest. But it's also like December, and then there's like the Christmas thing, and a lot of people
Yeah.
are like kind of crazed. And I usually, I mean, you know me, you have a lot of history with me, and I always threw a big party. I'd always have like tons of people at a bar or a restaurant and just like dance and have fun. And it's like, I don't know, that stuff doesn't really happen as much anymore. So I think if I were able to do that, maybe it would be more fun and I'd be less anxious about it. But I'm kind of, it's going to be quiet. It'll probably just
Yeah.
be quiet. And so I'm going to plan something though to make it a little nicer. And I wanted to mention to you guys, if you were wondering, the Lens app that's on Patreon, where we normally post photographs and short videos, it's more or less broken, and we wanted to mention it to you guys. I've been trying to post
Yeah.
things, but it's not quite framing it right, and we're talking to Patreon about it. So apologies that some of those haven't gone through. We don't know what's wrong, but
Heather and I have kind of, been like, did you see the thing that I posted? Did you see the thing that I posted? And we've, there are definitely some stuff that has not gone through, and
Yeah.
we are super sorry about that. We will figure it out.
we will.
But just a heads up, if you were sort of like, what's going on with the Lens content?
Exactly.
We're trying. Yeah, I mean, I had like some really cool dog videos.
I know, man. You guys are really missing out. I know. I think I posted something with a cute little deer the other day, and it was cut off. So apologies, but we'll get it sorted out, and we'll kind of report back. So Sarah,
Yes, Heather.
we're coming to the end here. It's just went by so fast.
The end of our show, or the end, or the real end.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
yeah, I know. It was a whirlwind.
It really
as
was.
it always is. And for everybody who's stuck with us for the last, few
Stuck with
Gosh.
us.
yeah, for the last few weeks. Like, honestly, I mean, if you're doing great, awesome. If
Yeah.
you're not doing great, I get it.
Yeah.
We have been through the ringer.
Yeah.
Many of us.
Yep.
For a variety of reasons. And we are just so happy that you're with us.
We do, and we hope you're hanging in there.
Yeah.
We want you to hang in there with us because we wouldn't be half as much without you guys.
It's 12.
That's a fake cry, but I'm crying on the inside.
I actually thought you were.
Well, because with audio,
was
you don't
really
know. I could.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, Heather's crying.
I have some acting chops, I guess, but
Yeah, you're good at that. But, we also talked about real crying, which I have done. Oh my God, have I cried this week? I don't even know. Okay. So before we depart, just a little thing. It's like, there are friends that I have who consider crying a weakness. Mm-hmm. Where like,
are they
they
men?
They don't. Not always.
Okay.
No. It's not so much that like they say like, Sarah, stop crying, you weenie. But it's more like if I'm like, oh, are you crying? Or are you about to cry? Like, are you going to cry? They go, no, not going to cry, you know? And I'm like, you got to cry, man.
Yeah, cry it out.
Cry it out. It's exercise.
It is.
It really is.
And you know what, your body, I think if you don't cry for a long time, your body naturally just kind of throws you into it because it has to. It's a
Right.
release. It's like a sneeze, you know?
And I think that's a good point. That's when sometimes people go, ooh, I cried at a time that I was really trying to hold it together.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it should not be a terrible thing to do.
No.
It kind of just like, it's cathartic.
Yeah. It's just what the human body does. It's
That's
biology, you guys. You can't escape it.
It's bio. Yeah. On that note.
Yeah, on that note, I'm going to go get some sushi. What are you going to do, Sarah?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna, I'm not gonna watch political cable news tonight. I'm done. I'm done with all that, doing that all week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna just chill and
That sounds good. Chillax.
some dinner and chillax. Yeah, something in the
like it.
dictionary.
Well, sounds good. Well, I'll probably see you online later. But until then, Sarah, I want you to have such a good day. And all y'all out there, please, we beg you, have such a good day.
Indeed.